Hey guys, it's Belle, and in this video I just want to very briefly talk about some standards, some Völuspá, which I'm probably never going to be able to cover and do a full video of on my channel, but there was a particular stanza, number 38, which stood out to me and I found very interesting, so I wanted to ramble to you about them. So the context of what's happening here is a woman called Slither is heading eastwards, and the vulva is describing to us, the listeners, what Slither saw on her journey. And so in stanza 37, we're told that she sees a hall made out of gold, which is the possession of the Sindra. I have no idea who they are. And we also have Bjorsalar Jotuns, the beer hall of the giants, which is called Brimir. So we've got two different halls, one presumably owned by humans, one by giants. Wonderful. And then this next line I find very interesting. And I'll read it in the Old Norse and then give you my thoughts on it. So, Sal so honstanda, solu fjari, njóstrond á, norður horfa dyr, falla eitir droppar, inn ljóra, så undin salar orma hryggjum. Which means, she saw a hall stand far away from the sun on the Northstrand. Now I think Northern Horvadir is sort of like the north-facing doors swung open so she can see what's inside. Falla eiter droppar inom jorda. Poison drops fell in through the roof, or around the roof. Så unden saller ormarskyum. Because that hall was wrapped up, wound with the backs or the hides of worms, of dragons. So I think this stanza number 38 has some interesting psychological implications for the Old Norse, because we must remember that they conceived of the entire natural world as like a house, or rather maybe a house on an island, which is surrounded by a giant ocean, which in turn is encompassed by the Midgard serpent, right? But metaphors for the house and the mead hall for the whole universe, they abound in the early medieval Germanic mythology. Starting with Cadman, who describes how God created Helfontohrofa, heaven as a roof for humans, right? And so if we think about what's being described here, we actually have a sort of rather similar image, right? We have a serpent surrounding the inhabited area, and we have a whole Leora here, which we could think of as like the roof or the ceiling, and through that hole the poison is dripping in, and there can be rather obvious metaphors drawn here with precipitation in rain and how that fills the rivers and it causes crops to grow, etc. But there is a sort of dark, almost horrific twist to it here, in that this place, which is far away from the sun, so we already are in a place which is dark and shadowy and scary, and probably also where sort of it's difficult to grow crops. And then instead of raindrops falling in, we have eiterdroppar, the sort of poison drops which fall in from the sky. And so it's this rather dramatic metaphor of like, you've got these two halls here which are really good, and then you have a hall down below which is sort of shadowy and monstrous and possibly completely deadly. And I think that this particular stanza might have had some real sort of body horror and just like horror, terror implications for the Norse who are reading it, because the very idea of having your entire world be flipped on its head and everything which you thought was once welcoming and inviting being absolutely deadly to you, that must have been quite a scary thought for them to imagine.